Nothing can officially happen for Nick Foles for more than a week, but it seems the Eagles quarterback is already drawing closer to a decision when it comes to his next destination. Foles' career with the Eagles is all but over after they declined to use the franchise tag on him, and now he'll be free to sign with whoever he desires at the start of the new league year on March 13. All indications point to the Jacksonville Jaguars being the favorite, though there's still the possibility that another team, such as the Giants, Dolphins, Redskins or even Raiders, emerges in the next week or so. For the Eagles' sake, the bigger the market for Foles, the better it will be for them. With Foles now leaving as an unrestricted free agent, the Eagles will be eligible to receive a compensatory pick in 2020. The greater the contract Foles signs, the more likely it is that pick will turn into a third or fourth round pick. So what will Foles' contract look like? Let's take a look at this from all angles to come to a proper conclusion, or prediction. NFL free agency, Eagles plan to pursue veteran quarterback as potential Nick Foles replacement. The Philadelphia Eagles will be in the market for a veteran quarterback during free agency, despite Nate Sudfeld being a restricted free agent. Cleveland's Tyrod Taylor and New Orleans' Teddy Bridgewater highlight the free agency class opposite Nick Foles. Precedent: what have similar QBs earned on the open market? There really isn't much precedent for a player like Nick Foles, who failed as a starter with the Rams, bounced around as a backup before eventually becoming an improbable Super Bowl hero and guiding the Eagles to the playoffs again in 2018. Those 2 seasons also included a small sample size, just 8 regular season starts, 5 playoffs, so it's hard to grasp exactly how Foles is or will be viewed around the league. Still, there are some similar cases, if not perfect comparisons, of quarterbacks reaching free agency in a situation like Foles. Brock Osweiler, 2016, after only 7 career starts with the Broncos, signed a 4-year, $72 million contract with the Houston Texans, with $36 million guaranteed at signing, an $18 million AAV and a $12 million cap hit that first year. He was traded to the Browns after 1 season in a cost-cutting measure and promptly released. Compensatory pick gained, 3rd round pick compensation cancelled out by signing Russell Okung. Mike Glennon, 2017, after 5 starts in previous 3 years with the Buccaneers, signed a 3-year, $45 million contract with the Chicago Bears, with $18.5 million guaranteed at signing, a $15 million AAV and a $14 million cap hit that first year. Glennon was released after 1 year and signed with the Arizona Cardinals. Compensatory pick gained, 3rd round pick compensation cancelled out by signing Deshaun Jackson. Case Keenum, 2018, after a surprising breakout 2017 season with the Vikings, Keenum signed a 2-year, $36 million contract with the Denver Broncos, with $25 million guaranteed at signing, an $18 million AAV and $15 million cap hit the first year. He'll likely be released this off-season. Compensatory pick gained, 3rd round pick compensation cancelled out by signing Kirk Cousins. Sam Bradford, 2018, after a injury-prone tenure with the Vikings, Bradford signed a 1-year, $20 million contract with the Arizona Cardinals, with $15 million guaranteed at signing. Bradford was released before the end of the season and remains a free agent. Compensatory pick gained, ineligible. The quarterback market: which players is Foles competing with for potential job openings? Teddy Bridgewater. Bridgewater is really Foles' only current competition on the free agent market for a starting job, and he's wildly unproven. He's started 1 game since 2016, though he is 3 years younger than Foles. Tyrod Taylor. Taylor is a more likely target as a potential veteran backup than full-on starter. I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles are interested in him as a Foles replacement, actually. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Fitzmagic is serviceable, but none of the teams in need of a quarterback are going anywhere with him as their full-time starter. Ryan Tannehill. He still has to be released. He's still intriguing as a mobile, athletic option. He's actually older than Foles, though, by a little less than a year, and is way too injury-prone. Eli Manning, Foles isn't so much competing for a job with Manning as much as he'd only sign with the Giants if Manning was no longer in town. Derek Carr trade. If the Raiders actually did shop Carr, he'd be the stiffest competition for any Foles starting job, though Carr already is making more than $20 million for each of the next 3 years, plus $19.8 million in 2022, and his production has been on a decline. Josh Rosen trade. If the Cardinals opt to draft Murray, Rosen will be a hot commodity for a rebuilding team and seems like a realistic target for the Dolphins and Redskins. If that happens in advance of free agency, it could put a dent in Foles' market. Kyler Murray, Dwayne Haskins, rookie. Both rookies are likely top 10 picks at this point and thus potential threats for Foles with the Jaguars, Giants and Raiders, or Dolphins if they traded up. However, even if one of THSOE teams planned to draft either of these two, it wouldn't be inconceivable that they'd also want a veteran stopgap, like Foles, to start for a year or two first. That might not be an appealing scenario for Foles, though. Which teams specifically might want a new QB, and how much money do they have? Definitely searching. Jacksonville Jaguars, Miami Dolphins, Washington Redskins, The Jaguars are currently $2.4 million over the cap. Releasing Blake Bortles, $4.5 million, Malik Jackson, $11 million, and Carlos Hyde, $4.7 million would get them around $17.8 million under the cap. Restructuring either Andrew Norwell, $9.1 million, A.J. Bowie, $8.1 million, and/or Calais Campbell, $5.4 million, would help get the Jaguars reasonably under the cap for free agency. Their interest in Foles has been off-reported, and at this point, the perception is that he will ultimately wind up in Jacksonville. Mia, $9.5 million under the cap. Releasing Ryan Tannehill, $13.2 million, Robert Quinn, $12.9 million, and/or Devontae Parker, $9.4 million would give Miami the requisite cap room. There has been much buzz around Miami, a team that seems more likely to rebuild around a young quarterback than sign an expensive 30-year-old. Not impossible, just unlikely at this stage. Was $16.9 million under the cap. Releasing Vernon Davis, $4.9 million, and/or linebacker Zach Brown, $5.8 million would clear some cap space. The Redskins seem like a logical destination, as Alex Smith, Foles' friend, is likely out for the year and Washington fancies itself a playoff team. Multiple reports have indicated they're more likely to stick with Colt McCoy and draft a rookie instead or, potentially, trade for Josh Rosen. Potentially searching. Oakland Raiders, New York Giants, $27 million under the cap. The Giants would save $11.5 million more by releasing Olivier Vernon. As we've reported on multiple occasions, if the Giants opted to move on from Eli Manning, Foles would be interested in signing with them. However, it doesn't seem likely the Giants move on from Manning, for some reason, and thus the Giants wouldn't be interested. $72.9 million under the cap. Reports emerged recently that the Raiders might be interested in shopping Derek Carr, that coming just a few days after GM Mike Mayock called him a franchise quarterback. I'd be surprised if the Raiders pursued Foles, even though Mayock has been fond of Foles in the past. How much will he make? Sunday, NFL Network's Ian Rapoport reported that the Jaguars were the favorite, though the Dolphins or Giants might be interested. At this point, that seems unlikely, and the perception of a lacking market would seemingly have an impact on Foles' new contract. As long as the Dolphins and Redskins don't sign or trade for anyone else right away, though, Foles' agent would at least be able to create a perception that there was more interest in order to drive the price up. As it stands right now, it seems likely Foles signs a multi-year deal somewhere in the range of the contract Case Keenum signed with the Broncos last year. It wouldn't be surprising, either, if the contract was incentive-laden to make it a more significant deal if Foles performed well and guided Jacksonville to the postseason. So now, a prediction, Jacksonville Jaguars for 3 years, $57 million, with $28 million guaranteed at signing. for the Eagles that would likely garner a third-round pick, assuming they lose more unrestricted free agents, very likely, than they gain. Zach Rosenblatt may be reached at zrosenblatt@newadvancemedia.com. Follow him on Twitter at ZachBlatt. Find NJ.com on Facebook.